Okay, brethren, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is Conor Holway of the Golden Hours podcast, and this is a GDP Minute. I'm in studio with my man Gio. His last name is Geronimo. I said it kind of sounds like he's a porn star, but I digress. He's doing a great job engineering these episodes. And a little background on today's episode. Before I tell you anything about the guest, please, guys, if you get any sort of value from this episode, whether you laugh, cry, learn something, please share it with a friend. You know we're just trying to connect with every filmmaker out here, every producer, every director. So those GDP boys, those Golden Deer boys can be in a position to make another movie. And I think we're doing a good job at it. But today, Johnny Hickey, continuing the Boston theme. Great dude. What a fucking story about falling off an 80-foot cliff. That was crazy, Gio. Don't you think? Yeah, the guy had stories, man. Essentially, before I made Apple Cinema, there was Johnny Hickey about 10 years before, and he had made an independent film in Boston called Oxymorons, and just hustled it. Like, the way he was talking about describing how he made the movie, it was like the same thing I did. Just no matter what, just kept going, trying to make it happen. And now he's out here. He's working on other projects. I watched his movie Habitual on Amazon Prime. It was a horror film. And he's a hustler, man. He's just a doer. You know, he doesn't overthink things, gets stuff done. And really lucky to have him on the podcast. It was a little bit shorter because he showed up a little bit late, but still a good guy nonetheless. We'll run another one. With that being said, enjoy. This is Johnny Hickey's Golden Hour. Boom.
Everybody's dying from shit. Just keep looking at that drunk driver. You know shit. You read the shit. You watch the news.
You're never getting out of here.
You look hot, man. You look LA hot. Don't worry. All right, Gio, just give us a hike. Us 617 guys are just going to fucking wing it.
Right.
Say it again?
Just a fist away from the mic and it'll capture everything real good.
Sure, camera's going?
Yeah, everything's going. Back up, this one's going, and then I got double for the mics.
So we're good.
Yeah, you can start whenever, just as long as it's pointed to your mouth and you're good.
Okay, Johnny, as you're getting yourself ready, I just wanted to preface this. So, over the weekend, I'm doing my Boston hustle, you know, networking.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like you do a good job at that yourself. I'm just trying to meet people. And I meet this young man who's hustling out in North Hollywood. And so I just got you on Instagram, but anyone who wears our shit or wears a wristband, I'll take a picture of him. This guy sees me. I give him a wristband. He's like, yo, man, I just started my own clothing brand. I'll give you a hat for free. Can you promote it on the podcast? And I was like, bro, 100%, you're grinding. Absolutely. I didn't look at the hat. But on my way here, I did. And I'm going to turn it towards the camera. It says, I heart my deep throat queen. And there is a Mario Birdo logo on it. So I got finessed. But there's your clip, brother. I'll send it over to you. Free marketing.
You could have got handed a lot worse out here, honestly. That's bad, but that's
What could be
not that
worse
much
than
of it.
I heart my deep throat queen?
I don't know. You'll see. You'll see after you get used to it out here. It's fucking wild for sure.
Now, on my right, camera left, we're continuing the Boston theme on the show.
Okay.
I got Johnny Hickey. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, my man. Thank you.
I obviously know who you are. Can you just give a quick synopsis of who you are and what you do to anyone who tunes in?
Filmmaker, actor from Boston, Massachusetts, Charlestown specifically. Born and raised on the projects there. Lived a crazy fucking adolescence, I guess you would say. You know, in and out of jail, robbing pharmacies, yada, yada, yada. The drug life, crime. I had a near-death experience, turned my life around, made a film about it, had pretty decent success with the distribution of my first film, and kind of launched my career. So took a bunch of negative shit, being from Boston, who I was, and turned it into some fucking positive shit, getting shit done out there, and, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, as I told you, the first time I got hip to what you do is I literally was talking to a firefighter. He goes, oh, bro, you're not the first person to make a movie in Boston. There was a dude just like you like 5-8 years ago who made one. And so that's how I'd heard of Oxymorons in the first place.
That's dope.
What's dope? But 10 years later, people are still talking about the project.
Oxymorons is one of those. I hate like tooting it too much. I feel like a douche with these shades on. It's like hard to like, you know, because it's your own film. You don't want to be like, and it's 10 years old. You don't want to be too showy with it. But it's a timeless piece. It attacked an issue specifically in Boston and Charlestown, be it the opiate epidemic and the OxyContin stuff, that still to this day, I mean, people have done, like recently Hulu did a series on like the drug side of it and the pharmaceutical side of it, but nobody's really touched on anything like that. Never mind besides meeting you, and I haven't really met anyone from the city outside of Studio Films commenting to shoot there that has even tried to complete anything as far as a story goes. But Oxy resonates with people who are affected by drugs, people that love real Boston, because I'm from the fucking city. 9 out of 10 people who make movies in Boston really, even no matter how much they research or who they're hanging out with, to be from there is this specific little thing. So when you watch it as a fan from Boston, it's another layer of like why that film sticks with you. And then just the story behind it. You know, me, like being a kid from Boston with no film school experience, got my GD in prison, and made a fucking movie from A to Z. Like wrote it, directed it, started, you know what I mean? Wear all these fucking hats.
Did you do post-production in Boston too, or?
So the first batch, so the first cut, I should say, was done in Southie in a basement for like $100 a day with this editor, Paul Buell.
Fucking hustling.
Fucking hustling. It was strange. I found a camera rental place, and I needed lenses to do some pickup scenes, and I was shooting on Red at the time, and nobody was shooting on. No one even fucking.
How did you
knew
get your
what
hands
Red
on
was.
a Red?
So I started when I decided I wanted to make a movie, and I wrote the script. Instead of coming directly out here and like trying to get money and stuff, I had this fantasy in my mind that like you make a dope film and it's so dope and so real and so gritty that Sundance Film Festival sees it, and this is the ignorance of my adolescent filmmaking, right? And they're gonna love it, and that's how it's gonna explode. That's the only way to make it explode. So went out to Sundance Film Festival doing events, working for events and stuff, networking on that side of, started in the distribution side of things and the festival side of things. Instead of coming out and doing what people typically do, which is try to raise money for the script and everything. And being out there, they would be promoting things that were like up and coming in the industry, obviously. So Red was there, and everybody went to this Red conference, and I stole somebody's like whatever fucking badge to get into this event. And I was like, that's what I want to shoot my first film on. And you know, Oxymorons was probably just something that was meant to be, mixed with my hustle, that all the moving pieces came together, and I found a guy in Hadley, Mass. So Hadley's out like fucking Weston, like wherever, East Bumfuck. And he was a Chilean DP who shot stuff for National Geographic. He was shooting like eagles or fucking hawks or something in Western Mass that were doing something. And so I found this Chilean DP that owned a Red 1 camera, had a good lens kit with it.
And you said, bro, I'll give you a green card, shoot my movie.
Well, no, he's like, Johnny, I never shoot the film before, and you know, how you want me to shoot? I go, dude, shoot it just like you're shooting them fucking hawks and mountain lions and shit in Chile, dude. Like, you're never gonna see it again. Animals killing each other, just, you know, very raw, and he did it. He did an amazing job. But so the post-production, you know, we had this first cut out there, and I ended up bringing in my editor from Oxy out here. Now he's big. He's a big editor out here. He's like a union A-list editor, but he still cuts my films, and we still have that relationship.
That's Sugar Studios.
Sugar Studio. So he's the editor there. Sugar Studio's a whole family of people, like kind of like A-list post people. You know, they're good. They're great. They're doing like Machine Gun Kelly stuff right now and stuff for Facebook and whoever. They got all kinds of shit going on there. But it's an all-in-one post house. So I have that kind of as an asset and equity, you know, that they're like my family post house. And I work with other post house out here for certain stuff, but I think for me, like, I'm always trying to go back to Paul and have him do the final cut, at least, for me and shit like that.
So this is like, when you're shooting this, like, what, 2010 and 11 you're shooting it?
Mm-hmm.
So I learned through YouTube, self-taught. How at this time were you learning? Because that's like the beta stage of YouTube. People aren't really putting like good, valuable stuff on there for filmmakers yet.
No, so nothing was up there. Like, there was no like how-to, you know, kind of shit. So for me, it was just, I was so passionate about it. As a kid, I always wanted that lifestyle. I was an extra in a movie, and I snuck in the van with a bunch of like the A-list, the celebrities of this miniseries I was an extra in, and I went to their craft services versus the extras from the project's craft services, and got to see this kind of like I was a poor kid from the projects.
What was this called? Brink's Job?
No, this was Common Grounds. It was about the busing in the 70s with Jane Curtin.
And they shot it in Charlestown?
And they shot it in Charleston, the parade scenes, yep. But it took place in Charlestown with the forced busing in the 70s. And so I went to this craft service thing where there was just, all the food I had never fucking seen before in my life. And literally I was like, I want this, And my escape at the time, growing up in the projects and being around this fucking, crazy dark life of just chaos around me. A lot of kids would play sports on the weekends. I'd play sports, but I would always, like, for me, on a Saturday, go over to the Assembly Square Mall, go to the movies over there, sneak, when you could sneak into, like, an extra movie. And I'd watch movies, dude, and I would pick them apart. And I loved horror films. I loved actions, obviously. And I fell in love with, like, filmmaking. I was like, I want to make movies someday. Then,
so when it came to your film, you already understood the language?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was in school just you can watch films and learn if you're paying attention to, like, the lighting, the makeup, you know what I mean? And you understand all the kind of shit that goes into making the film a film, the sound even. So many people watch a movie, they hear it, but they don't even realize how important sound is to the film,
It's
even
50-50.
even just shit like Foley, you know what I mean? Like, people don't know that stuff. So I learned, like, what is that? Oh, that's Foley when you put the footsteps in. So I self-taught myself, just asking questions, worked at a comedy club in Boston, networked with comedians there that got me little roles in short films they were doing for college kids. And I would just go and I would just absorb like a sponge everything. This is post me getting thrown off an 80-foot fucking cliff, post me doing 3 years in jail. So I was like young and hungry, coming out of my early 20s, and was like, I need to like do this. I fucked up 17 to here. I have to chase my dream. I have to make this happen. And I was just able to, everything I did from writing the script and getting like James Gandolfini interested in optioning it. And then once James Gandolfini was interested in like trying to buy my story rights, it created kind of a smoke and mirror effect with all these other people. Like, oh, he must have something. That one person, then, people start to think. And I guess if you're manifesting and other people are manifesting the same thing, it kind of all comes to life. So I've
noticed, though, I hate to cut you off,
No,
but
go.
I've noticed what a benefit having a hustler mentality, especially out here, is already. Like, I'm sure that's served you so well. I mean, like, obviously you're not like like an artiste. You didn't go to Juilliard or anything, but I feel the same way. Like, you just gotta fucking get it how you live it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, no, I didn't take it that level, but I've always had that creative side of me, and I understand, all walks of life and how they view things. So even though my stuff's very street and real, I can see past that, where people segregate themselves from everybody else, kind of, where I come from, obviously. The hunger, the hustle, and then the creative things all combined, you can get it done, like I had a hustle to like eat in jail. I had a hustle to like make money, to like be able to call my family, and just like shit like that for through life, like torturous things I had to do to survive. So this stuff is like nothing, and like you have to be thick-skinned out here in Hollywood. Like you're gonna meet 100 people. They're gonna tell you they're gonna do this, and this. And my biggest problem at first with that was like, okay, I could weed through the people who were obviously like just talking shit and wasting my time. But I would always, like, I'm infamous for this still, kind of, and I've humbled it a lot, but just calling them out. They don't like to be called out here when you go to a meeting and you have fucking lunch and they're telling you, all right, we're going to do it. And then a week goes by and it's just like some other bullshit excuse. And I'll just call them out and be like, well, why are you blowing fucking air at my ass? You know what I mean? You're a fucking fraud, click. So, but sometimes it blacklists you from all that, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to be careful because it isn't everybody, so you got to always...
You're a fucking fraud, click.
Yeah, but no, 100%. I've done it to a million people. I had a company try to steal...
The politics aren't your thing.
No, I had a company try to steal my first film. They offered me like $250,000 advance on it. Then they went backpedaled on it after they got the rights to the story. I went and took the guy's fucking keys from the guy at the desk that holds the car keys. He had a Lamborghini. Or Ferrari, I forget what it was. It was some high-end fucking car. I'm pretty sure it was a Lamborghini. And I took his keys and stole his car in the parking lot. And they called my friend David Burns, who plays my brother in Oxymorons, who was vice president of the Los Angeles Times at the time. And they're like, Johnny stole the car. And because they were stealing my film, you know? And I had nothing to lose at that point. So I was like, David called me. They had me on a 3-way. I'm like, I'm going to drive this through. It was in Santa Monica. I'm going to drive this through the glass windows. I'm going to light the whole fucking building on fire because I legitimately have nothing to lose at this point. And that's, in my mind, I was contemplating fucking doing that. And there was a good chance that if things didn't shift however they shifted, I may have driven that thing into the fucking building. And David told him, he's like, Johnny will probably drive the thing in the fucking building and light the place on fire.
That's hilarious.
I got my film back, and somebody
Were
else.
they shook?
Yeah. But see that also though, that even though they were shook in the sense of like, all right, that kid's fucking crazy. We shouldn't have done that to him. They probably went on and still did it to 100 other people after that because that's what they do, and they're still involved in stuff, right? So nothing that affects me, but like that people would be afraid to work with someone like that. So I coming out here, like my first 3 weeks out here, my first 3 months out here, my first year out here was a ride. I had to really learn to become the chameleon that I've always become and survive in jails and streets or whatever, and apply that here. And that has been a benefit to me, to be able to go into people, know they're fake, read through the bullshit, and just not deal with them, and on to the next, and not let it occupy my time and waste my time, because my time's more fucking valuable than any money you're ever gonna make out here, right? So yeah, it's been a learning lesson with all these things.
Now, I had watched like 2 or 3 interviews before you came here, so you don't have to delve into this too much if you don't want to, but was it the Quincy quarries you got pushed off of?
So
Like where all the graffiti is?
they were the quarries. Originally, there were quarries there, but they built a Marriott Hotel. The Marriott Hotel that's right there in 93 when you loop into like Quincy, Braintree. So they built a hotel on quarry cliffs. There was no water, so it wasn't like a water quarry, but it was at those granite, that granite area. And so where I went off was like, it's like a 50-foot drop and like an 80-foot drop, and it's just down into an industrial park. And it was literally me, my little brother, and one of my boys at a hotel party where some shit had just gone down like a day before. I was still obviously in that, that fucking world of like chaos. And the kid I was with the day before stabbed a kid in the face with a Heineken bottle, like 15 fucking, like mangled this kid, disfigured him. So we had no reason being at a hotel party in a neighborhood where the kid who I'm with just hacked somebody up with a bottle the day before. But that's, what I mean? That's the mentality of eating beans and doing stupid shit. So they heard we were there, so they set us up. And we got jumped by probably 3 carloads of kids. So it was like 13 kids or whatever jumped us. And there was a moment where we all could have probably dipped and, bitched out, took off, whatever. There's like fucking, we're outnumbered. Like, who gives a fuck, right? Like, so just like get out of here and not get fucking jacked. But the kid, my buddy Mikey, that stabbed the kid in the face with the bottle, was such a mental case that he was just like, I'm gonna go fight. He just ran in to fight, 13 fucking kids. And I was in that Johnny street level of like a solid criminal, stupid shit that doesn't matter in life. Like, I'm gonna stay and fight with my boy because I'll never live it down if I don't jump in and help him. Even though he's a fucking fool and just set us up for a drive-by, we could have just like snuck out the side alleyway. And so he gets jumped. He's already on the ground, bleeding. They're stomping his head. I run in to help him. I just like target the biggest dude and sucker the biggest dude in the like who looked like the alpha in the situation. I got him, caught him, rocked him. He fell, and for like maybe fucking 2 seconds, I thought maybe I scared everybody else because I just hit one of the toughest, bigger fucking kids in the crew of them.
Now this is right on the edge of the hotel.
So it's just in a parking lot. It's dark and it's chaos. You know what I mean? Pitch black. So what happened was the hotel was a pretty new development and hadn't been there a long time. It was fairly new. And the parking lot stretched out in the back to the quarry cliff, and they hadn't put up a fence yet. It was like kind of like bushes and like little trees and, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. And then it was just a drop. But you would never be like typically walking into that area or over there for anything. Like, why would, And so there was a lawsuit and everything because the Marriott didn't have a fence after, but that's kind of where the fight was like developing and growing. And after I hit that kid, literally, I remember like going down on the ground, like falling to the ground and being like, get up, because they're going to kick you in the face. Get up, get up, get up. Like, don't let them kick you. Like, and for like 1 second, remember, like, why can't I get up? Like, why Can I physically not like push myself off the fucking ground and get up? Like, what's going on? Because I was falling, and then someone hit me in the back of the head with like whatever the fuck they hit me with. And I woke up 7 days later in BMC in Boston Medical Center, dislocated hip, separated my pelvis, bladder exploded, tore my urethra, and had fucking a fistful of doctors telling me I would never walk again, never use the waist down. Was in there for 30 days with a tube in my dick, my nose, everything. Fucking literally being told I'd never walk again. Refused to accept that. God, whatever you believe in, call it what you will, manifestation, the universe, whatever the fuck it is, I refused to accept what they were telling me. Manifest in my mind was like, I know how to walk, and taught myself how to walk again. Everything healed some fucking miracle way. It took months, but it like the physical shape I'm in now is probably better than when I went off the cliff. And from that point moving forward was like, I'm gonna turn my life around. I'm gonna chase my dreams. I'm gonna take all this horrific shit I went through, and I'm gonna write a screenplay. So how do I write a screenplay? So I just started writing in a notepad, and then I was in a short film with Lenny Clark. And Lenny Clark he loved the idea of Oxymorons, like where I had at that point, and he took it to Dennis Leary's people. One of Dennis Leary's writers for Rescue Me taught me how to properly write a screenplay, like just the basic rules of writing a story, character development, and then just like how to write a screenplay, like action, dialogue, shots, and what not to put, what you don't need to put, what's a shooting script, what's a writing script, all that stuff. So I got kind of a firsthand like education on how to write from some pros, from some people that wanted to back me, and then so on. I mean, even till this day, like people from that world working in comedy. I was a door guy, so I was like, how am I going to network with people to make movies? If I keep going to Boston Casting and auditioning for the pizza guy, the cab guy, the guy in the bar, the townie, that's cool and all, but even if I got every time secured that audition, which isn't going to happen, I'm never going to grow never going to be like, oh, we want to take you. And that's just, so how do I get in with, how do I get already into the A-list circle? So
I had the same, I was in Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart. You know that movie? They shot that in
Yeah,
Lynn.
of course. Yeah.
And you'll see me for like 4 seconds. And after that, I was like, I never want to be an extra again. I got to learn how to make my own shit.
That's the worst, right? So
terrible.
You could do it, and it's great because you feel like you're part of it. And you could be an extra and go and just like, if you're trying to learn how they do stuff and you got the mind of, to see and listen and learn, you can pick up some stuff. But if you're trying to act and you're trying to grow and you want it now kind of attitude, which I assume you have, like I do,
you got to make your own.
You got to make your own shit. And so I learned that, and I just was like, well, I don't have money, but people are interested in my story. But I do have a way of I'm a hustler, and I'll get equity. So I got a fucking jail. I utilized OxyContin at the time, which was affecting everybody. And that's when people still didn't even realize that Oxy was heroin and heroin was Oxy, but just knew that everybody was getting these prescription pills and dying from them, becoming heroin addicts and dying from them, from the politicians all the way down to the street level. So I was able to utilize, listen, I'm making a movie showing the collateral damage and the dark side of OxyContin. Will you let me use the jail to shoot the movie in? Will you give me a cop car? Can I shoot these gunfighting scenes in the Bunker Hill projects without a permit? Can I? And
you were the producer and the director.
I was everything for that, yeah. And I wasn't the director originally. Originally, I had this dude, Christian Johnston, attached, who I met at Sundance, who did a film out there called The September Tapes, which was a found footage film about a man who goes to Afghanistan trying to find out why they blew up the buildings, because his wife was in the building. So it was like a action thriller found footage film, not a horror, but it was really good. And it was official selection at Sundance, so that he held some weight at the time as a director. And when we were getting ready to go into production, I already had a UFC fighter attached, Tim Sylvia, to the film. I got the red camera, the DP, so I had everything ready to go. And he got stuck in Beirut, Lebanon. The car bombed his hotel. He didn't get killed or anything, but he got stuck over there because of this incident.
So you got to do it.
By default, I became a director. Yeah, I wrote the movie to act.
That's destiny.
Yeah, I wrote the movie to act. Was playing the role I was playing in the film. Wrote it. And was obviously producing. I didn't even realize I was producing. I was just like making my movie. I didn't even feel like producing. To me, it felt like all the things I had to do to make this happen, because nobody else, no matter who I hired, was going to be able to do any of that shit, right? So I was producing too, and then became a director by default, and was like, ooh, I like this, I like this part of it, and I can do this. I need to be here, because how is he going to be able to make this scene in real authentic to this. He's never even been, so yeah.
How much
Testing
bread total did that cost you?
to make Oxymorons? $150 on the ground we raised. So we started with 100. The hype became, so I had 100 and could have finished it for 100. I could have finished it for 50 if I had to,
How were you raising bread at this time?
So because of the James Gandolfini thing, all these guys in the North End that own this fucking restaurant, this coffee shop, all wanted to be a part of this project now, and a couple wanted to be actors. So I was like, all right, I'll bring you in.
To clarify, sorry to cut you off. What Johnny's saying is like the lead in The Sopranos was attached to the project, and the North End in Boston is traditionally an Italian neighborhood, and all those dudes are obsessed with The Sopranos, so they were all pumped to get involved with this movie.
Right. Yeah.
Continue, sorry.
And so I was able to raise, $10,000 from this guy to be in it, $10,000 from this guy for his son to be in it. So everybody that had kind of a little role in the film probably invested $10,000 into the movie or so. And then I had $50,000 of my own money that I hustled, however the fuck I hustled, and was like the most amount of money that time that I had ever been able to fucking save or put together or gain from where I gained it from. And invested that into the film. So I matched funds. So I got 5 people with 10, 50, 100. And then once we got going, and like Channel 5 was filming us, and the Phoenix was, covering us, and the Globe, and then people were coming down on set and seeing, Tim Sylvia at the time was still a big UFC fighter, still had a big name. The police are involved. So people like, how do we get involved? And so we were able to raise another $50,000. Then the story out here where the post where I left that spot that was trying to steal my film and ended up with this place called Hydraulics in Santa Monica. That was a visual effects house, but I met the head there, the visual effects executive producer, Scott Michelson, who was able to raise all the post-production for me for free for Oxymorons. So that final cut that you see and that went on Netflix and had all the success it had was because one guy watched it who's from Connecticut, seen the scene where we were jumping off the Tobin Bridge, knew my story of how I just almost blew up a building to save my film, but appreciated that. So there are people that appreciate what some people will go through to like fucking do what they have to do or keep it real, and literally donated, I don't even know what to me, there's like no number on it, but a couple $100,000 at least in post-production with no handout for anything in return, just a favor. And then my editor from that became the senior editor at that facility, making like $250,000 a year. So my guy that stuck with me and cut my film originally for $100 a 12-hour fucking nights and crazy shit we were doing in Southie has now lived out here in LA, grown to be an amazing editor, doing big things. Now he's at Sugar. So, but that's someone that I kept it loyal to, and brought him out here to LA with me and kept him on the project when I had someone else throw me money now in a post house to do the post-production the right way.
How are you feeling during this time? Are you like, what the fuck? I fell off a cliff. I was in prison. And now I got a movie that's like manifesting in my hands.
Yeah, I mean, like there were scenes when I was filming Oxymorons before I even got to that point where I'm actually in Hollywood doing things where I'm pissing in the toilet, like one of those metal toilets that you have in jail. And I'm pissing in the toilet, and it's a stupid memory, but it's just a reoccurring memory so many times because you got 3 years, and every other time you've been there, of like peeing in this like metal toilet, and you'll never pee in that toilet anywhere else in the fucking planet unless you're behind, So it's just like it's that, and I'm doing it in the jail in Barnstable, but I'm filming my movie, so it was very surreal. I can't really explain.
I get it. It
The
was a scene
power
from your
of
life.
Yes, in a thought back in jail of like, never mind just getting out of jail and not going back to jail and turning your life around, but like, I'm never gonna come back here and I'm gonna fucking make a movie and I'm gonna, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this still, and then actually doing it, with all these assets and all these people and actors and the red camera and all these things that I had put together as a wish list that I was able to bring together and make that film, which has given me a career, from that.
I think we could talk about this for like 10 days, but just because we're tight on time, I just want to shift.
Yeah.
So we all watched Habitual. Now, did you shoot that in Massachusetts?
I did.
I was going to say, what's that? Is that like the Taunton Mental Hospital?
Westboro and Tewksbury.
Okay.
So
So did you reach out to the state for that, or did you go all independent?
So I reached out to the state for Westboro, found out that they sold it back to the town of Westboro. Same thing. Went into City Hall, said, "Hey, listen, here's what when I did Oxymorons, I had nothing but a screenplay and the Gandolfini thing attached to that. Now, Habitual, I've already completed Oxy. I have an anti-opiate nonprofit in Boston, so I'm like,
You're official.
yeah, and I got I got important people that will
Easier to
back me.
pitch that way.
And so just went in with my DP and said, hey, trying to shoot this movie that talks about fentanyl and drug use, but I want to use the asylum as a backdrop. I was just trying to get in to the courtyards and stuff. So I was gonna shoot in warehouses and stuff that that we have enough buildings in Massachusetts where a stairwell in an old school could look like the stairwell in a lunatic asylum.
I'm surprised you didn't go to that one in Waltham.
So that one's so
Ferris Center, something like that?
Fernald.
Fernald.
So I did go there. Fernald had just had a fire at the time. Someone was in there at night, not supposed to be in there. So they lit 2 buildings on fire. So they weren't letting anybody in there because of the health hazard and everything.
The place is spooky.
Right. And so, but Westboro had 13 buildings in a functioning DYS facility at the bottom of it. So I said, they're probably not going to let us in the buildings, obviously, but we'll get in these courtyards and I can shoot in the tunnels that they have and all the outsides, and then we'll just double up and we'll shoot the interiors wherever the fuck we shoot them. This school, that building. I had ideas in my head of places I had already found that had that feel, And the guy was like, after he seen it, he's like, do you have liability insurance? I was like, yeah, I can get a certificate of liability insurance for the production. It's like $1,500, $2,000, whatever, for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so I produced that to him, and he gave us access to all 13 buildings. And he's like, you're going to have to wear masks. We did special masks before masks were a thing. Now you got to wear these like C100 masks that keep out asbestos particles to kind of go into the buildings with suits on, like these white fucking painter suits, whatever, and find the buildings and areas that didn't have tile, flooring, insulation. So anything that was like cement, wood was free game because there was no asbestos. But anything that had the old tiling and the any kind of installation, you want to stay out, keep obviously the cast. They're not gonna have masks on doing their scenes out of these rooms. So we've built the whole map of like entrances and exits where one for certain scenes would have to go in the bottom of a building and cut through these. They had these underground tunnels that were built out of brick and cement that had no asbestos that connected all 13 buildings. So we shot in these tunnels. So and then you've seen what you've seen obviously in Habitual. But I got the money in November late.
How much?
I got $75,000 to start. And everyone's like, wait.
Private?
Get more money. Yeah, private. Yep. Get more money first before you do it. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to have money in escrow. I'm going to use it for a flight out to LA. It's going to fucking chip. And I'm going to be at 50. 75, I can get this done. I know I can get it done. And I know I can pull favors in LA in post-production. So if I got to shoot it for 75, I will. So I started shooting it for 75, same thing I did with Oxy, started shooting with less money. And had just been sick of trying to raise money to do a film, by the way. So I was staying in one location, shoot it here, and we could do this for 75 over 21 days. And brought in a cast that had no, acting history, no resumes or anything, but I knew that they could act.
I know Allie.
You know Allie?
Mm-hmm.
So Allie was a musician. That was my mother's student that came to me to help her with her music. Said, can't help you with music, but you should audition for this movie I'm doing. She came in, auditioned. When Allie auditioned for the role, there was another girl from MTV that had like a lead role, and Allie did her audition, and I knew that that girl was gift. I'm like, she could fucking carry this lead role, and she looks good on camera. She just shines on camera. And I said, but we already have this girl in, and my DP talked me out of it. Make a long story short, coming onto that production with her, playing a small role, we had that one location, raised more money. It was freezing out. It was like, so because I just was like, I'm going to shoot this raw in the cold. It's like fucking 18 degrees out now, December, January, right up into the holiday break, and then pick up the rest after the holiday. And more money came in, and then Tewksbury State Hospital I connected with and was like, oh, we have a building that the state canine used that a lot of movies want to use, but never literally use it. But because of what you're doing and because of our mental health facility and rehab facility here, we'd love to give it to you to shoot your rest of your film in if you want to use it. So we ended up getting a building that was built in the late 1800s, called the Nerpy building at Tewksbury that had no asbestos, heat, running water.
How did the people who gave you the green light in Tewksbury find out about the movie? Are you like marketing the film the whole time as you're shooting?
As I'm shooting, I'm still making connections, and I have my team calling people, and I'm like, it's fucking freezing out, and I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to drag these kids through the fucking ice for. We need to find another building, but we were also trying to use Tewksbury for their contemporary hospital, not for asylum shots. There's a whole chapter of the movie where I rewrote Allie's role, and Allie became a much bigger character in the movie and actually chopped the other actress off. And
Sorry to cut you off. This is going to sound so stupid. But you are the villain in the movie, right?
yes, well, there's two villains in the movie, and there's
Yeah, no, I get it, but that's you.
yeah.
I've been trying to figure that out the whole time. I'm like, I think it's him, but
Oh,
you
the
just,
mental case.
yeah, you just
that's
look
me.
so much
Yeah,
different.
No, that's me. Yeah, no, that's me. Yeah, no, it's a whole different. It's going into character. It's
did you know that?
losing weight and not sleeping for days.
Well, the hair's
being
different,
Pale, the
and-
hair's different. Grew my hair out, and that's it's acting for me. That I love that playing that role.
You did a great job.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. And wrote that role in too on this. So originally, I was just an odd security guy, and I was trying to not make it about me being the actor. I was trying to focus on telling this crazy, bizarre story where you got to kind of connect the pieces and kind of watch it a few times to really catch everything. And developed it into a whole another story where I added my character in Simon and stretched Allie's character out. We were shooting in the contemporary piece of Tewksbury Hospital where it took place outside of the rave, outside of the asylums. And by chance, we were trying to get that location, which we got. They offered me the other building that we were able to do the stairwell scene where we hung the girl upside down, and we were able to knock down those old wooden doors where the patient's fucking fingernail marks were still on the door. So it was very authentic, very real. Had weird energy, but
You've always liked horror.
always loved horror. And I just wanted to do something that was like just different. I wanted to touch the horror world. Wanted to tie the drugs into it. Wanted to get a little psychological and mind fuck people. Not make a film that's mainstream for. I always like to try to do something that's just a little bit fucking different, And so I came up with that whole concept and story. And yeah, and then for me in these indie films, I will not marry myself to the script. People are like, you just be efficient, shoot what you shoot for your edit. That's a bunch of bullshit when you're coming off $100,000 or whatever it is, and trying and you can compensate for things.
Gotta
and
adapt.
Yeah, you adapt. Yeah. So
Now, we're going to have to wrap up shortly, but so are you out here working on something else? Because you were saying you were working on a docuseries or something.
yeah. So I just shot the pilot. Did I send it to you?
I didn't see it yet, no.
Not the pilot. More a proof of concept, I should say. So they're tearing down the Bunker Hill projects that I grew up in Charlestown.
Oh, yeah.
So they're tearing those down and building a $1.7 billion complex. And I'm doing a 7-episode docuseries about the history of the Charlestown projects that ties into a lot of true crime elements, 49 unsolved murders, all the racism, force busing stuff of the 70s, how the buildings were built to begin with in the 30s when they literally burned people's homes down to build the housing development for Irish veterans that were longshoremen to where they're at today. So we just go through the 30s, the 60s, the 70s, all the way up to back to today, and tell the story episodically. And I have a lot of good attention on that. It's the first time for me ever doing a documentary style thing. A lot easier as far as it's it's post really is what it is, and storytelling.
There's no stresses of being on a set.
No.
None of that.
But I got 3 horror movies that I'm attached to as a producer actor on that are all in pre-production, moving into production now here in LA. And then another crime drama that I'm involved in. So
you're busy.
I'm busy, yeah. No, I'm gratefully busy, gratefully, able to come out here. I was just here all of April, went home for a couple of weeks, I'm back and meeting people, new people, networking like yourself. You know what I
Good
mean?
guys.
Yeah, good guys, Boston guys,
Cambridge.
Cambridge, yeah.
I don't want to claim it if it's not really me.
Whatever at this point,
But he claims Boston, but this dude's from Dublin.
All right, yeah. County Cork. All right, see,
You hear the
I know my
voice?
shit. Yeah, no, I heard it when I came in. Yeah, I heard it when I came in. I love it.
All right, we got to wrap, but I would love to do another one sometime.
Yeah,
with
let's
more
do another
time.
one. Let's now that we kind of know and I know where it is and everything. Let's maybe build another one. Now we could go a lot of different places probably.
For sure. You're a great guy, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate you
Just fucking
networking with guys.
grinding.
Yeah, no, you got to do it, dude. You do it. You're on the right path for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is how we start and end the show. You got to slate to the camera. You got to say hi. I'm only going to say it once too, Johnny. Also, I don't know if you know this, but my real name is John. It's John Conor, just like the Terminator.
Like Terminator. Oh,
Exactly.
Shit.
You know how many times I've gotten that in my life? Like, oh, bro, just like the Terminator.
But you go by Conor.
I go by Conor.
All right.
Tough divorce. Parents, tough. Thanks for bringing it up, Kill. Anyway, hi, your name, and this is my golden hour. Directly after No Break, hi, your name, and that was my golden hour.
Do that one. Hi, my name.
And this is my golden hour.
And this is my golden hour.
Directly after No Break, hi, your name, and that was my golden hour.
So directly after, no break.
Come on, you're a born salesman, brother. You've been doing this your whole life. You got this.
They're like so similar though.
That's
So-
the point. But you're sharp. You're
and
quick witted.
Yeah, I know, but you're hitting me, right? I'm trying to say it. So it's this camera, right?
No, it's just one camera. Center camera.
I got this hot ass fucking light blasting me in the face.
But you look Hollywood,
I
man.
haven't eaten at all today. I rushed over here,
But you had life water.
and now I'm rehearsing lines. Came to do a fucking just a on the whim podcast. Now he's got me working. All right. Hey, Johnny Hickey, my golden hour. And then no break. And then what do I say?
All right, we do it one more time. Ready? Hi, this is Johnny Hickey, and this is my golden hour. Hi, I'm Johnny Hickey, and that was my golden hour.
And that was my golden hour.
This is, that was, you got
This is that was perfect.
it. Live from Hollywood. 3, 2, 1, said hike.
Hi, this is Johnny Hickey, and this was my golden hour. Hi, this is Johnny Hickey, and that was my golden hour.
Did he get it right? Did he get it right? He did not. This is, that was.
This is
Yeah, that was. You got it.
Was, right? That's what I
You said
right?
this was.
Oh, this is and that was. All right.
God damn. Everyone fucks it up.
Hi, this is Johnny Hickey, and this is my golden hour. I am Johnny Hickey, and that was my golden hour.
Well executed. Try to. Good.
Cool.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Everybody's dying from shit. Just keep on let y'all drive. You know the shit. You read the shit. You watch the news.
You're never getting out of here.